The Phantom Hitchhiker. The stormy night. It was a stormy night in late October, and the rain fell in sheets against the windshield of John Miller's old Chevy truck. John had just finished a long shift at the factory and was eager to get home to his wife and 2 young children. The narrow, winding road through the countryside was his only route, and despite the poor visibility, he pressed on, the truck's wipers working furiously to keep the view clear. The road was deserted, as it often was at this late hour. The tall trees on either side seemed to close in, their branches swaying menacingly in the wind. John's eyes strained to see through the downpour, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. He was exhausted, but the thought of his warm home kept him focused. Suddenly, a flash of lightning illuminated the road ahead, revealing a figure standing by the side of the road, thumb outstretched. John was startled. What kind of person would be hitchhiking in this weather? Against his better judgment, he slowed down and pulled over. The figure, a young woman soaked to the bone, approached the passenger side. "Thank you so much," she said, her voice barely audible over the storm. "I've been stranded for hours." John nodded and unlocked the door. "Hop in." "Where are you headed?" "Just a few miles down the road," she replied, shivering as she climbed in. "My car broke down, and I couldn't get a signal." John resumed driving, glancing at her from time to time. She was pale, her clothes drenched, and she looked scared. He tried to make conversation, but her answers were short, and she seemed more interested in watching the road ahead. The vanishing. The rain continued to pound on the truck, and the visibility worsened. John focused on driving, but his mind kept drifting to his strange passenger. She hadn't said much about herself, and there was something eerie about her silence. He decided to ask again. "So, what's your name?" "Lily," she replied softly, not taking her eyes off the road. "Where were you coming from, Lily?" "Just visiting some friends." "I didn't expect the storm to get this bad." John nodded, sensing that she didn't want to talk. They drove in silence for a while, the only sound the relentless rain and the truck's engine. After a few more miles, Lily pointed to a side road. "Turn here. My house is just up this way." John complied, turning onto the narrow, gravel road. They drove for a few minutes before Lily spoke again. "Stop here. I can walk the rest of the way." John was hesitant to let her go in such terrible weather, but she insisted. "Thank you again," she said, opening the door and stepping out into the rain. "I won't forget this." He watched as she walked away, her figure disappearing into the darkness. Once she was out of sight, John turned the truck around and headed home, feeling uneasy. Something about the encounter didn't sit right with him, but he couldn't put his finger on it. The discovery. The next morning, John woke up to a clear sky. The storm had passed, leaving the air crisp and cool. He went about his usual routine, trying to shake off the strange feeling from the night before. However, the encounter with Lily lingered in his mind. Later that day, while he was at the local diner, he overheard a conversation that made his blood run cold. 2 elderly men were discussing a recent car accident on the same road John had driven the night before. "Terrible thing, what happened to that young girl?" one of them said, shaking his head. "They found her car wrecked and her body down by the old bridge." John's heart raced. Could it be Lily? He interrupted their conversation, asking for more details. The men explained that the accident had happened a few days ago, during the last storm. The girl's name was Lily, and she had been found dead at the scene. John's mind reeled. It couldn't be the same Lily, he had just given her a ride last night. Desperate for answers, he decided to drive back to the spot where he had dropped her off. The gravel road seemed more ominous in the daylight, the trees casting long shadows. He reached the spot and got out of the truck, looking around. There was no sign of Lily, no sign of anyone having been there recently. John felt a chill run down his spine. Had he imagined the whole thing? Was he losing his mind? The haunting. For the next few weeks, John couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. He began to experience strange occurrences at night, cold drafts in his house, whispers that seemed to come from nowhere, and the feeling of being watched. His wife, Sarah, noticed his distress and asked him what was wrong, but he didn't want to worry her with his ghostly encounter. One evening, as John was driving home on the same road, he saw her again. Lily was standing by the side of the road, looking exactly as she had that stormy night. He pulled over, his heart pounding. This time, he was determined to get some answers. "Lily," he called out, stepping out of the truck. "What's going on? Are you a ghost?" She looked at him with sad eyes, her figure translucent in the moonlight. "I didn't make it home that night," she said softly. "I need your help to move on." John felt a wave of sympathy and fear. "What can I do?" "Find my necklace," she replied. "It was a gift from my mother. It's the only thing keeping me tied to this world. It's in my car, by the old bridge." Determined to help, John drove to the bridge. The area was overgrown and eerie, the remnants of Lily's car still visible through the brush. He searched the wreckage and finally found the necklace, a delicate silver chain with a small locket. He brought it back to the spot where he had seen Lily. She appeared once more, her ghostly form flickering in the moonlight. "Thank you," she whispered as he handed her the necklace. "You set me free." With that, she vanished, leaving John standing alone in the dark. He felt a strange sense of relief, knowing that he had helped her find peace. The aftermath. John's life slowly returned to normal after that night. The strange occurrences stopped, and he felt a sense of closure. He told Sarah about his experience, and though she was skeptical, she could see the change in him. News of the haunted road spread through the small town, and others came forward with their own stories of ghostly encounters. Some claimed to have seen Lily, while others spoke of different apparitions. The road became a local legend, attracting ghost hunters and thrill seekers. John, however, stayed away. He had done his part, and he wanted to leave the past behind. The memory of Lily remained with him, a reminder of the night he encountered the supernatural. As the years passed, John often thought about that stormy night and the mysterious hitchhiker. He realized that there are things in this world that cannot be explained, and sometimes, the dead need the help of the living to find peace. The story of Lily became a part of local folklore, a chilling reminder of the haunted road and the kindness of a stranger. John never forgot Lily's sad eyes or the way she had thanked him. He hoped that wherever she was, she had finally found the peace she deserved.